Hey guys, we're going to take a look at percents this week. Not really a whole lot of algebra, but at least some ratios. Get this method down. This will take you through any math course you ever take. I'm going to give you two methods of figuring out percentages. So get one of these down. If you like one more than the other, use it every time. It doesn't matter. Just be aware of the other method that'll work. Probably you want to learn both of them. One of them is more algebraic, where you turn these words into an equation. The other one is just a simple throw numbers in blank spots method. But let's take a look at how to do these, and go ahead and write this method down, both of these methods down. At least give yourself some examples and just copy the way you do it. Okay, so here's go ahead and copy this down. If you need to pause it, go ahead and pause it. 20% of what number is 15? That is the question. Okay, first off, if you're a visual learner, you'll want to write this down. If you're a nasal learner, you want to make some kind of a, I don't know, kind of sniff the screen or something if that helps. Okay, 20% of what number is 15? I don't know. There's something, that's 15. And this is 20%. And we don't exactly know the number here. What is that? So we're looking for the whole number. That's what we're looking for. Well, obviously, we're looking for some number that is bigger than 15, correct? You can visualize that, okay? That helps. All right, here is the first method, the algebra method, which is you will take this English sentence and cut it into chunks and make it into an algebraic equation, okay? So you'll go 20%. You can do two things. You can do a decimal or you can do a fraction, doesn't matter, okay? So 20%, let's just say you did a fraction. You can call it 20 over 100 if you want to. Of means to multiply, all right, times. What number? X. Is equals 15, 15. Okay. Okay, at this point you have an equation that you can solve. You know how to do these. We've done tons of these before. You recognize that this is attached to the x. So to undo that, you will multiply by the reciprocal. And you can treat a 15 as a fraction if you want. The reciprocal is right there. Of course, this goes away. You got your x. You're ready. All you need to do now is just go, I'm gonna knock this down. You can go ahead and reduce now if you want to. You could do 15 or 20. You could do 120. Doesn't matter. Let's just do 100. 100 divided by 20. We know that's 5. And that's it. 1 over 1, just 1. So 15 times 5 is our answer. Well, 15 times 5 is 75. Okay. Now that is this entire number. Is that a sensible answer? You go, yeah, 15 is way smaller. Yep, that'll do it. So that's what you do. You look at, just like it's almost like phonics. You see a word that you don't understand how to read it, you just go left to right, and there it is. Okay, you got it. Same thing here, just go left to right with that equation. Write the pieces as they should be, and you've got it. And here's method 2, and you want to write this down as well. Okay, same question, we'll do a different method. Method 2, a lot of students like because there's no algebra involved, although I would learn how to do that first type. You're going to want to learn how to solve word problems. But let's just say for these you do this method. You don't even have to think. You just write an equals sign between two empty fractions. Your job then becomes how to find there are 4 blanks that go in there. So your job is to go, okay, out of this little sentence, how do I find 4 numbers that stick in there in those blanks? Okay, well, there's part right there, and there's part right there, and there's part right there. Well, the easiest part is to do the percent first. 20%, just write 20 over 100. Now, if you knew it was 1 over 5 reduced or 2 over 10, you can write that. Same thing, it won't matter. All right, what number, which we'll call x, and 15 are left. Those are 2 things left. We have 2 blanks left. The question is, which one goes where? Because unless you put it in the right place, you're going to get the wrong answer. Well, we know from our drawing back here that the number we're looking for is bigger than 15. Remember that? Okay, so we're looking for a number bigger than 15. Well, look at our fraction. The bigger number of this fraction is on the bottom, which means the number we're looking for, which is also bigger, that goes on the bottom, just to kind of match things. Okay, so at this point, you know what to do when you have 2 equal fractions. You just cross multiply. So you go 20 times x, 20x, equals 15 times 100, 1500. And you can cross off a 0, both of those. So 2 times some number is 150. Divide by 2, half of 150, of course, is 75. The same thing we got before. There you go. It's method 2. Okay, let's try another one. What percent of 140 is 98? What percent of 140 is 98? Well, again, you know, here's, I don't know, here's 140, there's 98, that's most of it, you know, the percent, you know, what is it? I mean, less than 100, right? We know that. 140 out of 140 is 100%. So this is less than 100%. All right? Well, let's do it. Left to right, like phonics. Let's just go, what percent of 140 is 98? And just fill in the blanks here, okay? We already saw, well, let me ask you a question. How do you write 73% as a fraction? 73 over 100. How do you write 92% as a fraction? 92 over 100. So how do you write what percent as a fraction? What goes over 100? We don't know, so x, right? Of multiply 140 is equals 98, and that is your equation. And what you can do is to make this thing a little easier on yourself. This looks kind of like all that back and forth. Let's just make, since this is on top and this is on bottom, let's make this our new fraction. 140 over 100 times x equals 98, okay? And you know how to clean up the 140 over 100. Just do 100 over 140. Same thing. So treat it as over 100 over 140. All right, that goes away, of course. You got your x. 98 times, and you know, again, if you want to, you know, start knocking things down, you can knock off a 0 here. 10 over 14, you can knock that down too. 10 over 14 would be what? Let's see, what, 5 over 7? That's good. Okay. If you wanted to keep going, you could. 98 times 5, well, we can do the arithmetic on that. 90 times 5 is 9 times 5, 45, plus a 0. 8 times 5 is 40, so 98 times 5 is 490. Then all we do is just divide that by 7. Well, 7 into 49 is 7, and then 0. Boom, there it is. So we're saying that 98 is 70% of 140, and we got the answer. Method 2, let's take a look. No thinking, at least at first, required. Fraction equals fraction. Just blank them out. There we go. So again, we have this. That's two numbers, right? There's 140, and there's 98. And we already saw, how do you write what percent? It's x over 100, all right? Is 98 less than 100% of 140 or more than 100% of 140? Obviously, 98 is less than 100%, so it's a smaller number. Well, if you look over, this is going to be smaller than 100, in other words, okay? So what we need to do is, since this is a smaller than 100 and that's the larger number, we're going to have to take these two numbers and match them. We want the smaller number on top, larger number on the bottom. So we cross multiply again. 140 times x equals 98 times 100. So we can go cross out a 0, cross out a 0. 14 times x is 980. Then you just do the long division, same thing, and you will get 70 as your answer. That's method 2. All right, let's try another one. All right, 15% of 300 is what number? All right, pause it real quickly. Just go left to right and see if you can come up with what you need to come up with. So pause it real quick and just make this into an algebra equation. Okay, this is what I did. 15%, I got an of, I got 300 is, and then what's that? Okay, 15%, I'm just going to write 15 over 100. Of 300 times 300, and I'll stick it over a 1, is what number? There you go. That's the setup. So if you went, oh, I can knock this out. 300 over 100, that's just 3 over 1. So 15 times 3 is your answer. So that's going to be 45. There you go. The other method, all right, we'll do this together. Unless you want to pause it and try it yourself, you can do that. At least we'll start together like this. We know what to do here. There we go. Find the 4 numbers and stick them in there, and you can pause it if you want. All right, if you didn't pause it, that's okay. Let's just do it together. 15% I got 300, and I got what number? So I need those two. Those will fill in my blanks there. 15%, yoink, there it is. 15 over 100. And 15% of 300. Well, real quickly, you tell me, is 15% of 300 smaller than 300 or larger than 300? Obviously, it's smaller than 300, right? Well, look, if the number we're looking for is smaller, where does it belong on this fraction? Should the x be up here or should the 300 be up here? Now, if you look at this, it has to match. So obviously, this is a smaller number here, so this is going to have to match the smaller number is there. So there is our fraction. So we got 100 times x equals 15 times 3 is 45. 2 zeros there. And you can look at this. Oh, that's an easy one. Cross out 2, cross out 2. I have x equals 45. There you go. All right, let's try another one. All right, and you can go ahead and pause it if you want to try to figure out this, the algebraic equation on your own. Just go ahead and pause it. All right, let's give it a shot here. What number, I don't know, x is equals 160%, I don't know, 160 over 100. You could reduce that fraction if you want to. Of multiply 60, 60, call it over 1 if you want. You can chuck down now, zeros, that goes away. There's another 0 that goes away. So we just have 1s left. 16 times 6, if you do the arithmetic, is 96. There you go. Let's check and see if it makes sense. What number, let's say 96 is 160% of 60. Well, 100% of 60 is 60. 60 more percent should be a number bigger than 60, and that passes the smell test, if you want to call it that. All right, method 2. Go ahead, give it a shot. Pause it real quick. Pause it. Try method 2, see what you get. Okay, there is blank equals blank. I got one number that goes in the blank. There's two numbers, the percent one, and there's my fourth number. So 160%, that takes care of 2. What number? I'll call it x, and I got a 60. Well, my question is, again, pretend we didn't do it already before. Well, 160% of 60, is that more than 60 or is that less than 60? Well, obviously the answer is it's more than 60. So look at your fraction you already have. If you're going to have two numbers and one's the more number, it goes on top. So the what number we're looking for, which is more, has to match that number, which is more. So the 60 goes on bottom. So again, 100 times x, 160 times 60, well, we got 2 zeros. 16 times 6 is 96, boom, and then cross out 2 zeros, cross out 2 zeros, and there you go. Same kind of thing. Very handy methods to know. It doesn't matter if you're doing chemistry, biology, calculus, all kinds of maths or classes you do. You can be the one kid in your entire row or class or whatever that zings these things out really well. All right, let's try 2 more, then we'll do our practice problems. All right, now this is kind of a second half of this lesson. If you notice this, look at the title. Okay, it's not different, but the title of the entire lesson is percents greater than 100. Okay, the key here is this. If something increases, we've talked about this before, if something increases by 150%, then it already had a 100% to start with. If it increases by 150%, the new percentage is 250%. That is the key. So that is the number you're going to be messing with. Okay, they're not going to tell you the 250 as a part of the problem. They're just going to assume that you start with 100%, you jack it up 150 more percent, so this is the new number, percentage, that you're messing around with in these types, okay? So if it's increased by 150%, what's the result? Okay, so in other words, the question is this: what is 250% of 75? That is your question. You can write it that way or visualize it that way. This is where it comes into where you can do one or the other. You do, method 1 or method 2, whatever works better for you. Okay. Well, let's try method 1. What is 250% of 75? Well, there's what there is equals 250%. I mean, you know what? You could do 250 over 100. Let's do that. Okay. Of 75, boing. There we go. Over 1. Now you can easily probably go, oh yeah, I can knock this out. And 75 over 100, there's going to be 3 25s there. Oh, there's 4 25s there. And if you want to keep going, you can. Or you can just go, I don't recognize anything. Just multiply across. You got 750 over 4. Do your long division. We won't bother to do that now. But if you do that, this will be your answer, 187.5. That is 150% of an increase from 75. Okay. Because 100% increase from 75 is 75 plus 75, which is 150. This is a little more. That's a sensible answer. Let's go method 2. Increased by 150. In other words, just fraction equals fraction. No thinking. But this is the key. If you see this word, don't just write a 150 in there. It's increased by that. So you need to be working with this, which means this is your percent. Those are your two numbers, right? Okay, then you have a 75 and you have a what? You're looking for, that number. Well, you know that this number is going to be more than 75, right? So look at your fraction. If you know your answer will be the greater number, where does it go? It goes on top, right? Because this is the greater number over here, and this will be matching over here, okay? So 100x, and then 250 times 75, all right? If you did the arithmetic, you would get this as your answer. Okay, so here we go, knock out a 0, and then 10 into 1875, and you can just divide by 10. Anytime you do that, you just move the decimal over one time. That's your answer, the same as we got before. Okay. All right, let's try one more like that. What percent of 90 is 306? Now stop for a second and think about this, okay? All right, let's say here's 90. What percent of 90 is like 306? Okay, there's your 306. Like what percent would that be? Well, obviously the answer is going to be more than what percent? 306 is more than what percent of 90? 100%, right? Because 90 is 100% of 90. All right, so 306 will be way more than 100% of 90. Okay, so the answer you're looking for is more than 100. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, let's just do the method 1. Go left to right. You tell me. How do you write this? What percent? Okay, x over 100. Of, multiply. 90, of course, just 90. Is equals 306. There you go. I hate looking at this kind of a thing. I always just chuck the fraction together. So I'm just going to go 90 over 100, and then my x separate. That equals 306. If you look at this and you go, the heck with this, I'm doing 9 over 10. Fine, do it. 9 over 10. All right, so there's 9 over 10. You undo that by doing 10 over 9. And you can do 10 over 9 this way as well. Of course, that goes away. And you do your 1 times 9 is 9. You're going to divide that into 3060. We can do this now. 3 times 9 is 27. 36. It's going to be a 4, then a 0. Boom, there it is. So 306 is 340% of 90. And the last thing we'll do is method 2 in the same one. Go ahead. Give it a whirl. Pause it and see what you get. Write the two fraction bars equal. Blanks, you fill them in. Go ahead and pause it and try it. All right, I'm assuming you paused it. There you go. I got 306, I got 90, I got what percent? Well, what percent is that? I got 90 and 306. This number I know is going to be more than 100% because 306 is way more than 100% of 90. Okay, that's the bigger number over 100. So I've got to choose the bigger number to go on top as well. Bam, there we go. So there's our new setup. 90 times x equals 306 times 100. You don't even have to think about it. Just write 306 and then 1, 2, 2 zeros. And then chop off a 0, chop off a 0. 9x is 3060. Do the long division and you'll get 340 again. And there you go. Okay. Let's try A, B, C, and D. Go ahead and pause it. And we'll do A, B, C, and D together. Okay, well, let's take a look at this one. And you know what? Choose a method. It doesn't matter. Okay, we'll do the algebra method this way. So 20%, I'll just put, I don't know, I'll just do a decimal this time. 0.2, what the heck? Of means multiply. What number is x? So I'll just put 0.2 times x. Is equals 800, 800. So just divide by 0.2, divide by 0.2. 800 divided by 0.2, let's see, 0.2 into 800. Doink. Oh, that's going to be a 2. And then, over there? Well, you can see that 2 goes into 8,000 how many times? 4,000 times. There you go. And so I get 4,000. If you had done method 2, you would have done like this. 20% like that. And then you would have done 800. And then X. There we go. And you would have done that way. Okay? Pause it and let's do B. Okay, method, oops. Oh, look at that. Went all the way down there. My word above. Okay. B, let's take a look. What number, which means X, is equals 18%, I don't know, 0.18 of 360 times 360. There you go. And in case you didn't know, dealing with all this rigmarole, forget all these decimals and zeros and all that jazz, and just go ahead and do 36 times 18, which will give you 648. Okay, not reasonable, so the answer has to be 64.8. That is your answer, Algebra Method 2. Again, equals, there we go. What number? 8. Okay, the 18%, that's what we want over here. 18% of some number is going to be less than that number, so we want the smaller number to match over here. You go, okay, well, the smaller number's over here. Well, the smaller number's over there as well. So that's what we match it up with. So 100 times X equals 18 times 3680. So 6480. And you divide by 100 just means you move the decimal over 2 times. So 64.8. And that's exactly what we got before. Okay. All right. Pause it and try C. We'll do that together. Okay, C, let's do, we'll do both methods very quickly. So what number? X is equals 270%, 270 over 100 of 80 times 80. Okay, so again, you can chop, there's a 0 chopped off, and there's one on the bottom, there's one top, chop that around. 20, oh, that's all we have now. It's just 27 times 8. So you do the arithmetic, 27 times 8, 216. There you go. If you did method 2, here it is. Fraction equals fraction. This gives us 2 numbers, 270 over 100. We have to ask ourselves, well, in other words, that's one of the numbers, that's one of the numbers. So what goes where? The X or the 80 on top? Well, we have to ask ourselves, what number is 270% of 80? Well, that's going to be bigger than 80, right? 100% of 80 is 80. So we're looking for some number bigger than 80. So the bigger number has to match. So on this one, the bigger number is on top. That means the X we're looking for is more than 80, has to be on top as well over the 80. 100 times X is 100X. 270 times 80, that's going to be 216 with 1, 2 zeros. And this is nice and simple. Cross out the 2 zeros, cross out the 2 zeros, and there we go. Okay, last one. Go ahead and pause it and do one of the other methods or both, or however you want to handle it, and we'll do both together in just a second here. Okay, the key here is, again, this, increased by 90%, which means the percent you're going to be working with is 190%. That is what you need to do, not 90. Okay, so if you did it wrong and you realize, oh, whatever, go ahead and pause it again and try it again, and we'll then hit the play button again, and we'll do it here. Okay, so we have 20, we have 190%, and we have what? In other words, we're asking the question, what's 190% of 20? So if you want to write it out yourself, you can go, what is, and Lord knows, I hope your handwriting is better than mine. What is 190% of 20? That's your question. Now you can turn that into an algebraic equation. What X is equals 190%, 190 over 100 of 20. Okay, 20 over 1. Now let's start chopping here. I got one chop here. I got one chop there. And I got 1 times 1. I got 19 times 2. Well, that's just 38, right? There you go. All right, if you did the fraction equals fraction way, let me do it over here. You can go equals, there we go. 190%, that's a piece of cake. 190 over 100. You can chop, zeros if you want. We're looking for a number that is bigger then 20. So we go, okay, that means what we're looking for is bigger. What we're looking for is bigger on top to match that that's on top, so x over 20. So over here we got 100 times x. Then we got, what, 19 times 2 is 38. And then 1, 2 zeros, 1, 2. And of course, this is nice and easy. Chop off the 2 zeros, chop off the 2 zeros. X is 38. Okay. Okay, hope that helped. Make sure you use those methods each time you use it. In your problem set, from now on, I would go back and forth and maybe just take turns doing one method and another method, so you can just make sure you're really good at the fraction equals fraction and the algebra left to right method. So, all right, have a good day, guys.